Hello everyone and welcome to our development vlog where we talk about the progress in terms of development for our indie project Kingsblood. We do these little vlogs based on a week-to-week basis and try to give you all the insights, what's changing. And in the last week I showed you that we had a system where sometimes threats will spawn on the map and then they will travel along the roads and they will go towards your little base, which is right here. And if they reach you, they will of course attack you. So you have a couple of turns to prepare and then a really hard battle will occur. This is the losing condition, so you really have to prepare well, else game will be over. Now, this week I want to tell you about a new kind of threat. So it is just annoying, so game won't be over if you cannot handle these situations, but throughout the game there will be these monster strongholds. For instance, a group of raiding orcs, they will just spawn close to a city and then they will have this circle or this sphere, and within this sphere you cannot cross it and you cannot click anything which is inside of this sphere. Technically, if we do with this sphere, around the sphere we will spawn an area. Now it's square, but it should be a bit more circular or spherical. So in this area you cannot click anything. Basically all the quest hubs, based on that, they are deactivated. And if you want to get rid of those, what you have to do is you have to attack these spots, so then you can interact with the cities again. But more problematic is that they also block the travel routes. And I want to show you that. Let's jump right into game and let's create a travel group and then I can show you how it works. Okay. Let's see, here we have a quest. Okay, and as you can see, the fastest way, of course, would be if we would take this road right here. But since this road is blocked by enemies, we have to go the long way around. And we said we will polish this system later on in development. Right now we just leave it as it is because it will take quite a lot of work. And since we are only a very small team and do everything in our free times, we really have to think if we really want to do it like that, because there are really some conceptual problems. What happens if a group is already on the way to a quest and then such a stronghold spawns? I mean, we thought about it. The best thing would be if a window would pop up. You had three options. You could either say, okay, take the long way around, or you could say, okay, let's go back to our home. The new way is just too long. Because it can actually happen that, I mean, this is probably you lose like 2 or 3 turns, but it could also happen that if, for instance, the thing would spawn right here and then you have to go completely around the lake, probably you have to take 10 extra turns. So you should have an option to cancel that way. And the third option, of course, should be that you can take the old route, and as soon as you arrive at the sphere, you kill the creatures and go on to the quest based on your old way. Maybe still does not sound hard, but it will get really hard if you have multiple groups who's arriving there first, stuff like that. So that's why we said it's cool that we have it in the game so far conceptually, but we will postpone it a little bit until the end. Same with invasions. I mean, we have a lot of stuff in the game, also construction menu, pretty much everything. It kind of works already, but we still have to polish it. And I guess that's how we are doing it right now. We try to introduce all the core systems, put them in game, and then we will have to polish a lot of stuff, of course. Okay, but something which is also which progressed in quite a cool manner is that we kept working on our home menu. So maybe you remember, I'm not sure if we talked about it the last time. I think it was 2 vlogs ago where we showed you how the construction system works. And a bit similar to the construction system will also be our research tree. And you can see it right here. And we were thinking if we should hide the lines for the video. Now we let them in because what these lines indicate, they indicate basically the conditions. And also I have to say this should resemble a tree. Also, we want to set a tree in the background, but this is actually the root. These are, so to say, the most outest leaves. So it's a tree standing on its head, basically. But how it works is we can, for instance, click right here, and now we could say, let's research footwear. What does footwear do? It gives you plus 10% travel speeds. You know, travel speed is when you send your groups to missions. And we could now just research it. And let's take the 3 turns. Also exchange the turn sound because people were complaining that the old one was super annoying. I'm not sure if the new one is better, hopefully. But I'm not 100% convinced it's really that much better. We'll see about that. And you see, now the footwear has been researched and now it's colored. And this is how it will work. And in general, I can explain you how everything of that will work. So we have about 30 nodes, and the game will be, we plan with about 300 to 400 turns. And so basically you play for 1 year. So you will have the opportunity to research one of these nodes like every 10 turns, kind of like that. And so these are levels basically. So if you research 3 of these nodes, you can go to the second level. And the second level you have to research everything. And these are the important researches. Like for instance, construction expertise. Only if you have that, you can upgrade your guild hall. Or for instance, tactician. Start, you can only send 5 people to a combat. But if you're a tactician, you can send up to 6 people. So this is very important. We don't want the player to skip these 2 researches. So like I said, a player starts out, researches 3 of these lower ones or not that important researches, and then he has to research these 2, and then he goes to the next level. Now again he can research these 3, and now he goes to the next level. Again, very important research types, for instance, that all your heroes can equip a second item. Super important. If you wouldn't take it, it would kind of suck, so we kind of force it on the player to choose it. Next level, where you have a lot of different choices as well, and then you can go and research the advanced techniques, and these are also super powerful. That's it basically. So what the player can do is he can now go different routes. One route would be, so he does not have to choose 3, he could also research all 6 of those, go to the next level, research everything. So it's also a little bit of a strategy. Do you want to research everything, or do you want to just go for the important ones? In your opinion, the important ones. And now I also have to say that these are not the only conditions. Of course, there are conditions between the levels. So basically, this research here reduces the injury time. So if you lose a fight, maybe I told you before, your heroes won't die. The losing condition is really if your castle gets stormed and invaded, and that's how you lose. But you won't lose if you just lose a single combat. So then your people will just get injured, and you have to let them rest. And this research node here reduces the time they have to rest. And so if you cannot just research, for instance here, 3 arbitrary nodes, then go here and research this one. For having this, you also have to have the level 1 skill right here. So there are some conditions in that regard. Also in terms of optics, we want to change some stuff. These lines should be in the background. So right now everything looks like a big pile of wool. I don't know, maybe you know it in these Tom and Jerry videos, or when a cat plays with a big ball of wool. That's how it looks kind of right now. So it should look a lot more cleaned up. But in general, that's how we envision our research system. And yeah, like I said before, we try to push out all these core systems, and then we will refine them and polish them. And you can see right here, we still have a lot to do. For instance, here you will be able to inspect all your followers. Then you will have a hospital, an area where you can improve the resting speed of your followers. Your treasury is basically just a large inventory. And then we also have a laboratory and a warforge where you can create consumables within the laboratory and permanent items like swords, stuff like that, within the warforge. And maybe they will also give permanent bonuses. So quite a lot to do, but kind of feel really happy about the progress, because those are probably the most important things in terms of UI. And then of course we have the city menu right? So we're still missing the reputation button and also the market. But aside from that, I think we're now. I mentioned it a couple of times, so everything I'm talking about now sounds like probably a strategy game, but we always say no, we are a story-heavy RPG. What I actually do when I go to my real job, so it takes 2 hours of my day, and in this time I usually write a lot of stuff. And what we have right now is that we have texts for all these cities, and for most of the cities we actually also have some images. And this feels kind of cool for me because with every city text we add, the world grows a little bit and feels more alive. And yeah, I can just tell you that most of these texts are done now. I think 5 or 6 are still missing. We also have most of the images. And I think the next thing in that regard will be the quests. So we have 2 quests so far. We will get probably about 100 quests, and every quest needs its flavor text. So it's not the most important stuff, but you have to do it. If you wait with that forever, then then you will probably have all the technical stuff at some point, but basically the content itself is missing. So we are all doing it kind of in parallel. All right. So and this week I don't forget it because we wanted to show it for the last 3 weeks. It's just a little thing, but oh, we also have a main menu working, right? So if you activate it, the sound gets actually muted. I muted the music so you cannot hear it, but it would mute the sound and make it sound like if you're basically underwater, I would say. And you see like it's a little bit of a fog. Okay, and then we can just return to the game. So that's it. But now, aside from these stationary outposts and the research system, of course, I would say our main focus once again this week was the combat system, and it will be the main focus for at least a couple of weeks. But it progressed really a lot, and I told you the last time that we started with reorganizing how we do everything, and actually it looks already kind of good, because you see right here we have a character holder and he has all his stats, crit chance, stuff like that. But most important, he now has arrays where we can put values and where we can define what animations should he have. For instance, he has a critical animation path, and we gave him one animation, but we could also give him different animations. So we could give him 3 critical strike animations, so strikes which look very cool, and then randomly the animator would choose one of these animations. And basically the kinds of animations which we have are critical attack animation, idle animation, walk animation, special attack animation, and the special attack, like I said last time, is not necessarily a special attack. In terms of Holdor, it will actually be a cast where he just raises his shield and then shields will surround him. Usual attack, but then we have 2 more animations. He's still missing them, so we will have a stun animation, so he will be a bit dazed or dizzy, and we will have a death animation, so where he will just fall to the ground. And of course we have custom death animations. So far he just uses a custom one. But what can happen is if someone, for instance, takes a shield and he dies and he just uses the standard animation, maybe the shield can fly around in the air. This is stuff we have to fix. I think this week we added a lot of animations, and I would suggest we just jump into combat and I can show you how it looks right now. We talked a little bit about style of the game as well, because the old combats, they were like very colorful, and at least in my opinion, it didn't really. So we had these old medieval map, right? These beautiful faces of the characters, hand drawn. This all fit together quite well, and like you see the old German writings and kinda fitting in terms of style, but the graphic were like really colorful in terms of combat. And now I thought, let's make it a lot darker. I think it looks much better. So this is actually the Wolf's Blood quest. Now it is really how it is supposed to look, I think. So here you see this is the den of the wolves. Some of the prey is looking on the ground. It's just very dark. And now how we want to make it pop a little more is when the fight starts, all the effects, for instance, if the mage is shooting a fireball, stuff like that, the screen should glow up a little bit. And this is also something which is missing. All our animations don't have effects right now. So we experimented with it a little bit, but the effects is something which will come and which will enrich the visuals quite a lot, I hope. Okay, but here you can already see some stuff which I was talking about before, because now some of these heroes right here have their custom animations. Before everyone had the same animations, but now they have different animations. For instance, you see idle animations. We actually have a mage idle animation. You see he stands there differently than, for instance, this guy. Also, here's a staff which is floating around. Probably the staff will just get deleted. This animation also looks really bad, but for instance, I think this one is quite funny. You see, I did this yesterday, and what happened to this guy? I cannot scroll in, but he actually lost his arm and super afraid. If you listen in one of our older vlogs to the dialogues, to the voice lines, you will see he's super scared. It's actually kind of funny. And yeah, so and he also has his own attack animation. You will see, because I thought it would be strange if he would march forward and attack the wolves in close combat. So what he will do is he will just throw stones or throwing knives. Not decided about that yet, but he will stay in the back line and just be scared. And he will also have a special attack. His special attack will be that he will do nothing, but he will just cry. So he also has a cry animation already, where he shakes his head and then he will say, "Oh my God, we are doomed," or whatever. The only special attack which currently gets loaded, because special attacks are handled a bit different, the only special attack which really works, but works also in terms of what it is supposed to do, is Ryo's special attack. You will also see that all the characters now have different walking animations and stuff like that. And this is a lot of work for us right now, but for instance, this guy here is an axe, and what we can just do later on, if we have more heroes, we want to have about 50 or 60 heroes at least, and to animate every one of them, that would be quite bothersome. So what we can do is we can just recycle basically the animations and just change the weapons. But there will still be some archetypes, I guess. We will need a two-handed sword. We will need probably someone who has claws in his hand, stuff like that. So I guess there will be place for some more archetypes. And then all special attacks, so to say, I guess they will also need their own animations. But let's start the combat right now. And the combat is still kind of buggy, right? So you see they are attacking on distance, and every time I update my game, I pull the program code from my friends or co-workers. I would still say they're my friends. Something changes, so right now the wolves don't move, but ignore it maybe. And as you see right here, the animation does not look good, but you see sometimes there is this little green writing and it says crit attack, and if he crits, he does a strike from top down. Okay, let's just do it again, because there is some other interesting stuff. Let's see, for instance, you see she has her own walking animation, but she's actually supposed to be an assassin. So this is one of the classes which also gives synergies. If you have multiple assassins in your group, they will get crit damage or whatever. But an assassin should also is supposed to jump in the back line right from the start. And you can see him right here, he's throwing his stones. This guy right here, we have problems with him because he's not attacking in the right direction. But I think I have to restart the combat one more time, because I also want to show you the special attack of Ryo. Okay, and let's look at this again, and let's focus on Ryo for a little bit. Because as soon as his focus bar fills up, he should channel his special attack. Alright. And when he channels his special attack, you see there was this little miss. So for 2 seconds, he will be immune to attacks, and this works. So this is basically for every special attack we will need some coding. And then after that he will do a critical strike and stun an enemy. So yeah, like I said, he will be a front fighter and also kind of works. What does not work at the moment is the stun part, but Andy is scripting it at the moment. And as you can see, a lot of stuff to do in the combat system. It gets better from week to week, still a little bit buggy. So yesterday the wolves were actually moving, today they are stationary. I don't actually know what's going on, but like I said, basically from week to week, from even from day to day, I would say everything changes and gets better and better. So that is what we got. This is what we created the last week. And I have to admit, the scope is quite large for an indie project, for guys who do it just in the free time. Feels like a second job sometimes, but still feels really cool and really happy we started this project. But if you're interested in this project and you want it to succeed, then subscribe, because every subscriber pushes our motivation. And with that having said, I'm out and see you next week.